Welcome back, everyone, to the Rookies Podcast. My name is Olivia, and joining me today are four very special guests from Cosmos staff. We have Laura Shatka, Michael Lorkovich, and Jonathan Ellis, as well as Ashley Cunningham. It's Ashley and John's first time on the podcast, so we're excited to have them on. Laura and Mike, for those of you who have listened in the past, will know their voices. So it's great to have them back as well to join us today to talk about something that we're all very excited about and kind of has become an interest of ours, I think, over the past few years. And that's talking about Big Brother. For those of you who don't know, currently there is a season of Celebrity Big Brother in the US that is going on. And Big Brother Canada is also coming out with their 10th season on March 2nd of this year. So we're all pretty pumped for this new season to come out, and thought that we would just jump on here quickly, kind of take a break during our work week and discuss Big Brother. So welcome, guys. Thanks for being here. To kind of start us off, I wanted to maybe talk a little bit more on a general note of just reality TV in general. And maybe start off by asking you why you guys think reality TV is so popular, and what's appealing about it in your opinion.
Yeah, I can kick us off. So I think reality TV kind of gives us I think what they do the best is they put people in very interesting situations that you just don't get put in regular life. Like, especially for Big Brother or these competition shows, you don't just vote to evict people from your house you're living in, right? So it's like these weird social situations, and then the ramifications of people's decisions, and you have to live with them. It's just craziness, and it leads to a lot of random scenarios and conflict and humor and the romances and all the things that come along with it. And I think it's just fascinating to watch and see how people kind of react to the changing shifts and situations.
Yeah, I guess I can follow up on what John was saying. I think I agree. I think reality TV gives a different look to, for the most part, not being scripted. A lot of times when you watch stuff, it's scripted, and what's going to happen for the most part. But in reality TV, like Julie Chen likes to say, expect the unexpected, and anything can really happen. And I think it gives viewers, especially for those competition shows, they feel like, hey, that could have been me, if I applied for the show. That's just a person off the street kind of thing, competing or being part of these types of shows. And I think that's what makes it great.
I think building on what Mike said, it's getting to put yourself in someone else's shoes where you wouldn't normally get to, live those experiences. So whether it's Big Brother and a competition type show, or if it's reality TV like the Kardashians, it's kind of seeing this surreal life that you never might have the chance to live, and kind of getting an escape from reality almost, and getting away from your old life, or you might think it's boring because you're used to it, and seeing these kind of surreal lives, I guess, that you guys said.
Yeah, and for me, kind of just building off what everyone else has said, it's just a different perspective. It's always something new, whether that's a competition show or just watching a reality show. I don't know, it's just always something new, and you're putting yourself in someone else's shoes. So for me, it's the opportunity to live vicariously through participants or contestants, and I think that's what intrigues me the most.
What made you guys get into watching Big Brother? How did you get into watching it, and why do you like it?
I think for me, it just kind of checks all the boxes of reality TV, because there's so many different contestants. You kind of get funny contestants that are you enjoy their humor, and they're little comedic bits. You get the showmances, so you get to witness romance, and then there's also competition that breeds conflict. So it just checks all the boxes of reality television for me in one show. So I'm here for it. I'm all for it.
Yeah, likewise for me, it's the competitions, and also the social game and stuff that has to be played. And that's really what drives me back year to year on both the US and Canada side. But what got me into it, honestly, I just watched US Big Brother one year and loved it. And I think it was like season 8 or 9, and then just loved it and kind of kept watching from there.
Yeah, I was gonna say I started a little later as well. My stepbrother got me into it. He's kind of a super fan who follows the Reddit feeds, Big Brother After Dark. He would kind of keep me updated on it, and he was the one who kind of broke down how everything worked. Because if you watched it and you're new to the show, it's slightly confusing the first little bit. But I think also it's the fact that it's live in real time, and it's not like shows like The Bachelor where you get spoilers a lot of the time, or social media will ruin it, but you have episodes kind of throughout the week and you have something to look forward to every couple of days. So it's just like one of those shows that almost feels interactive, and I know they've involved kind of the audience in ways in past seasons, so that factor too really just ropes you in and kind of keeps you coming back for more every season.
Yeah, like for me, I started watching it a little bit later too. My parents were big fans of it. So I think I started watching the US one season 10-ish. But yeah, like for me, it checks all the boxes. Like there's romance, competitions, and just like different contestants all the time. And I love that's on 3 days a week because you just get to watch a lot of Big Brother, and that's awesome. But yeah, it's an interesting concept, like kind of spying on house guests, and you can watch them after dark. So I think that's really cool. But yeah, I think it's a great show.
I was gonna say, to Ashley's point, I feel like it's that outside looking in. It's like with social media and everything nowadays, people will go like creeping, I guess, lurking. And it's kind of that like you get to watch without them knowing, and it's just seeing people live their lives that way. I think what also really brings people and latches them onto the show, because it's really kind of watching through these cameras and spying on them and seeing what happens. And it's that whole, kind of what alliances are and like who's working with who, and they have no idea. So I think it's kind of that excitement too.
And another point, just to sorry to add on to that, like I feel like the biggest thing is kind of you form your favorite house guests based on like your interests and like your personality and stuff like that too. So I think that's an interesting thing, because like I always have my favorites or my least favorite people, and yeah, I think a lot of that stems from who you are.
Definitely. And I will say, with having to pick your favorite house guests and things like that, I always find that when I pick my favorite house guests, they never end up winning. So it's it's always disappointing, but I think it's because they're usually more of the stronger players in the house, and so a lot of the times people want to get them out quite early on. But that's a great point. I love that. Yeah, for myself, like I started with Big Brother 12 in the US. I watched season 12 and fell in love with the show, and then went on to YouTube and found all of the previous seasons and just binge watched all of them. So I'm like very familiar with, who's in each season and who won each season. And I've just kind of like continued that all throughout. I don't even know what season they're on now, maybe like season 23, or it's been a while, right? Like they've been on for quite a while. And now like with Big Brother Canada, I think it's just great that they were able to bring it over to Canada too. And for me too, like I love the just how it tests everything from like your mental game to social game to physical. Like it just, like you said, John, it just encompasses kind of all of that, which, being people who work in sports, I think we can also really relate to as well. Just that competition aspect of it, something that we can all relate to. So I wanted to ask you guys, which one's your favorite? Like, do you like Big Brother US because it's kind of the OG, or are you more on the Canadian side because we're Canadian?
I'll be honest, I like the US side. I don't know what it is. Obviously I love the Canadian side too, but there's just something about the US side that keeps me watching, of course, but really puts it up on top a little. But by saying that, I don't know if anyone here has had the chance to experience, but a couple of years ago I went to a Big Brother Canada recording, kind of at the studio there in Toronto, live show, and it was very cool to witness. So that was a great experience as well, and that's, I guess, what maybe puts Canada kind of close to us, because I can actually attend that in person. I'm excited to get the chance to do that when COVID's over and they allow that again. But yeah, for me it's just US, just by a little bit.
I can go next. I honestly haven't watched the Canadian one ever. So obviously, like, I'm a US fan and I love Julie Chen, but also I don't know the host on the other show. But to me, it's just like my summer show. I look forward to the summers and watching the US version. That's just how I've always been. But I think moving forward, I will definitely watch the Canadian show, give it a chance, because obviously, like, we're Canadian. So I think that I should give that show a chance.
Personally, I actually really like the Canadian one over the US one. I just think they do a lot of things like that really interest me. Like even something as simple as like their sponsors. They incorporate their sponsors for the show in like really unique ways, and it leads to a lot of like interesting competitions. Like they've integrated like the Brick and Wendy's and stuff. Like people start strategizing around their like Wendy's meetings and like who they're gonna bring and like who would be good to get that one-on-one time with. And like it's a great opportunity for sponsors, and it also influences the game as well. I also just think they do a really good job with their casting. Their casting is like sublime. And like I guess I don't want to go too into that. I guess the US one is just like there's a lot of like big alliances like running the game, and I feel like that happens less in Canada. It doesn't happen as often, so it leads to like more fluctuations and more variability from week to week, which personally I really enjoy.
Yeah, I watch both. I guess my favorite, maybe because it is original, is the US version. Just kind of used to that, like Ashley said, look forward to it every summer. It's something to do. You kind of have that one show you watch, and that's one of the ones that I always come back to every single summer. And but to John's point, I think Canada's kind of stepped up their game, and they've done a really great job. And like Mike went to a taping in Canada before COVID, and I think it's just kind of seeing that behind the scenes and how it works. It really opens your eyes up to it, and you kind of just have that a bit more attachment to the show after kind of being there live and seeing it and getting to be a part of that. So I think honestly both are doing a good job, but US taking a little bit of a downhill kind of slide for me as the Alliance thing. I think season 22 with the all-star cast kind of just really showed some of the flaws there with US Big Brother, and so we'll see what happens with the new seasons.
Yeah, and with the alliance, like, I have noticed that too with the US version. There's such big alliances, and everyone just always votes with the head of household every week. It's nothing really surprising. So that is something that I have noticed, which does annoy me. So another reason why I should give the Canadian one a chance.
All really great points. I do love, John, that you brought up the aspect of how Canada uses their sponsorship. I don't think I've watched any other reality TV show that uses sponsorship the way Big Brother Canada does. Like you mentioned with Wendy's, and then there was, what was the other one? The Brick is the one that you mentioned, but then they also had like the Expedia room last season, and then they had like the TikTok wall. They also incorporated something like the Sunlight Coming Clean, so like the detergent Sunlight. When house guests were evicted, they would have this Sunlight Coming Clean where they would, kind of talk about their experience in the Big Brother house and things like that. So I thought it's just a really interesting way of how they use that space. And as people who work within that space, being that we are in sponsorship, I think it's a great way. They do a great job of it. So anyways, okay. So kind of moving on from that, I wanted to get into talking about a few things. So first, if you could pick, what would be your favorite season? Could be Big Brother Canada, could be Big Brother US, and why do you choose that season in particular?
My personal favorite was BB Can season 5 of all time. And it's something you mentioned before, Olivia, is the reason it's my favorite is because it's the only time that my favorite player from the season actually won the season. And it was like when Kevin was when he was down and out, like 5-6 weeks before the end of the game, and like he was in a position to have to win out all the comps, and he did. I was literally like like 5 years old, jumping and screaming at my TV when competition results were like announced, and he would like pull off win after win after win. And like the back and forth between him and Dimitri was just crazy. And I've friggin' lost it when he actually won. So like all those emotions, I just couldn't not have that as my favorite season of all time.
That triple eviction as well, when he beat the triple eviction, because in his previous season, in season 3, that's when he was evicted, was on that triple eviction. And so when he beat the seat, kind of, you know, in that 5th season and made it all the way to the end, I was so happy.
You
so
could literally see how much he wanted it so bad. Like he was so emotional, like just not like beating the triple again. Like, oh, wicked.
Yeah,
I must say that's a good choice. That's a good choice. I thought that season it's not at the top of mind, but I think that now that you bring that up, it brings back some memories, and that was definitely intense. I guess I can go into my favorite season. I might be a little biased here because it has possibly a future thing I might talk about on my favorite player ever, but I'm gonna go my best favorite season 7 of Big Brother Canada. With the Pretty Boys. I don't know what it was. I just think something with that alliance drew me in, and Dane especially I think was great with his social game and how he navigated things, and I love watching that part, maybe more so than the competition, you know, the alliance is forming. And when I get a favorite house guest, I really like stick to that house guest and get glued to that house guest. So my opinion might, that kind of spoils something in the future here, but my opinion might be a little biased just based on that. But I still think overall it was a great season with definitely some up and downs too with that alliance. So and then the crying between the alliance was just funny. That's what does it for me.
Did Dane ever get nominated? I don't think so, right?
I don't think he did. Did he?
He made it all the way to the end without being nominated, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, no, I don't think he did.
I think it was Anthony that didn't get nominated and made it to the end.
Oh, okay, maybe.
Oh,
yeah.
That might be.
I knew one of them like hadn't been nominated the entire season.
How many times did Dane get nominated, John? Do you know?
Probably only once or twice, though.
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe once.
Yeah,
that's a good thing.
I think Adam was the one that people wanted to get out the most. Like he was the other guy, right?
Yeah,
I think
that's a good one. I like that one too. Yeah, Pretty Boys. That's a good alliance. What about you?
For Canada, that was my favorite season too. Not sure if part of it. I think that's the season we saw live. So I don't know if that also contributes a little bit to it, but I just think the players, as you were saying, just there, they were all, it was just a really solid season, I'd say. And then for US, on the other hand, I really enjoyed season 20, a more recent season, but I did like the level 6 alliance. So I'm gonna go with them for my top US season.
All right, and I'll go next. I am a bit biased because I love the contestant Dan Giesling. So season 14 I thought was really, really good. Dan was about to go home. He was on the block and he had some punishment. I'm trying to remember, and he had to stay in a room by himself for a certain amount of hours. It was a long time, but he actually came up with like a crazy gameplay where he hosted his own funeral and somehow convinced everyone to not vote him out. And it was just like a crazy gameplay. And it's like one of the most well-known plays in Big Brother. So that, I think that was definitely my favorite season. And like he was in an alliance with Memphis. It's called the Renegades, I think it was. And anyway, they just like took control of the house, and just them two, and they just did a really good job. And just throughout the season, like there was really good other alliances and good gameplay, and it wasn't just like voting with the house or the head of household. So that was really good.
Yeah, definitely. Dan was actually the first Big Brother house guest to make it to final two times. He won in his first season in season 10, and then in season 14 made it to final 2 after his whole funeral as well. So that's another good point there on Dan. Definitely a legend of the game for sure. Mine is season 12. I know I talked about it before, but that's the season that I started with. It's the season that got me hooked. And so yeah, I go back and I watch it often, like just to reminisce. And I really liked the overall cast that was on that as well. Rachel and Brennan and Brittany, Lane, Hayden, all those good house guests. So I thought it was just a really good season, and that's where we got, Floaters Grab a Life Vest. That's where we got that from. So just things like that. It's a great one. But kind of on the flip side, I wanted to ask you guys what your least favorite season is of Big Brother, Canada or US.
This one's actually a real close tie for my least favorite season, because there's two that just like absolutely stand out to me as like pure misery. But I think what takes the cake for me, because it was actually a full season, is BBUS season 15. Just like all the controversy in that season with the things that the house guests were doing and saying, just like soured my opinion of the entire cast, and it was just absolute brutality. And I didn't even finish it. I still haven't finished it to this day. I think I got maybe halfway through, and then I just kept seeing all the controversial things pop up, and I was like, glad I'm not watching that anymore. Yeah, it was just absolutely brutal.
I'd say for me, I guess my least favorite seasons were kind of the recent pandemic seasons for both Canada and the US. Just, kind of mentioned season 22 with the US, and just, things happening there that weren't exactly the greatest, and maybe some better casting choices could have been made. And then with Canada, just that, 4-week period that just people were leaving and 2 kicked out, that sort of thing. It just was not good. Like, props to them for trying to do a season in the pandemic, but I think those ones were just not meant to be.
I agree. I think the last season 9 with Tashawn winning Big Brother Canada, I just thought it was kind of dry. Kind of what Laura was saying, the pandemic maybe has something to do with it. I'm not too sure, but I think agreed on the US side too. I think the last couple years, couple seasons, but yeah, that one just, I watched it of course because I'm a fan, but it didn't really draw me in my seat, every episode 3 times a week like Big Brother usually does for me. So
for me, it was season 19 for the US one. For one, Paul didn't win, so I was bitter about that, and the jury was bitter, so we were all bitter, or different bitterness. Anyway, so Paul didn't win. The cast was okay. I didn't think that anyone really stood out. I don't know. And also Josh, who did win, was super annoying and kept banging pots and pans the whole entire season, and it just really, it made me so mad. So just for those reasons, yeah, I didn't like it.
that was the best part of the season.
No, it wasn't.
100%. I laughed every time.
Gosh.
Every time he did that, I was dying.
It annoyed me so much. I'm like, Josh, get out. And then he ended up winning, and I was like, wow.
Yeah, bitter jury members is a whole nother topic, I think, for another day. But it's definitely something that it's the one thing I don't like of Big Brother, is when you have like bitter jury members. Because Paul did deserve to win that season. I will agree with you on that, Ashley. But pretty much kind of along the same lines as what you guys have been saying, is that season 8 of Big Brother Canada, I don't even know if you can really count that as a season, because it was so short and because of just all of the issues that went on in that house, and the fact that it was like the start of the pandemic too. So just not great. I think season 9 with Tashawn winning, I think they made up for the last season, like the previous season, because I thought the casting in season 9 of Big Brother Canada was just awesome. So that was good to see. And then on the US side, I agree with season 15. I don't think I finished season 15, and I didn't finish season 17 either. I thought that one was really boring, and none of the house guests really grabbed my attention, kind of to Mike's point there of like wanting to sit there 3 days a week and watch it. So I still know who won, but I didn't watch it. So my next question here for you is, who is your favorite alliance, or the best alliance you think of all time in Big Brother history, Canada or US?
Yeah, I guess I can start this one off. I kind of mentioned it earlier, but I think the Pretty Boys for me, I think what they did in working together was great. I think I like the characters of them. The fact that they all got emotional with each other, I think was funny. I think they're still friends to this day, which obviously a lot of people in the Big Brother house are afterwards, which is pretty cool. But in terms of their navigation of working around other people, I mean, we all saw Dan and Adam, I think, were the anchors of that, in my opinion, to be honest. Or Dane, sorry. Just the way they would kind of work together, the way Dane would lead it, put themselves in good situations, watch each other's backs by, you know, having people individually that they're close with outside of the alliance to keep each other safe and things like that. I just think it'll go down as one of the best ever. Obviously, there's been a lot of great alliances, both US and Canada, but that one for me is my personal favorite.
I feel like I might actually have the same one as Olivia because it's your favorite season, but I think the Brigade is probably one of the best alliances of all time. I'll leave some room for you to go in on it, but I think it's just really interesting. One of the things that really stands out to me about the Brigade is that I think Brittany is like a very, very savvy Big Brother player and probably doesn't get enough credit for how well she actually plays on both 12 and 14. And she had literally no idea about the Brigade. She had to be told at Final Four, like at the end. And usually these things are like really, really obvious at that point, but they played it so well that nobody really knew that they had like a solid thing pretty much right up until the end. So I think that's extremely impressive. And the fact that when Matt started to go a little AWOL, kind of like in the 70% ish way through the season, they made the call to cut him. They were just like, you know what, he's not all in like the three of us are, so we got to get rid of him. So I think it was just very very intelligent gameplay on all of their parts.
Yeah. Plus, I will say too, the lie that he created to, you know, as his reason of going into the Big Brother house, just the worst thing ever.
It was really funny though. It was
like,
really funny.
Yeah, I guess, but
It's
I don't
horrible,
know, like,
but it was.
yeah, I have to agree. I think my favorite's definitely the Brigade for sure. I like alliances that are small. I've never liked the big alliances. I think you shouldn't go more than like 6 people in an alliance. Like that's the cutoff. That's where you should stop. And so for the brigade, it's really hard for me to say it, but yeah, kind of like to John's points, I think each of them brought something to the alliance that just, you know, pushed them through all the way to the end. And I think Enzo is just hilarious. Like he's one of my favorite Big Brother players, and I was happy when he came back in the last couple seasons. I think that All-Star season there, but yeah, definitely the Brigade. And then I will say I like the Pretty Boys on the Canada side too. An honorary mention, I will say, is the Cookout.
Since the beginning, they set that alliance to really have that first Black winner after as many seasons as they've had, and they stuck through it from beginning to end. And Tiffany kind of creating that plan, you know, have those side alliances, they managed to keep it a secret. And I think a lot of what I find kind of more now with Big Brother becoming how many seasons, there's everyone kind of, you get a sense of who's working with who, and alliances kind of are brought to light pretty quickly. And I think this is one of the first ones in a while, at least it feels like, that they were able to really keep it that secretive and kind of be successful with everything they had planned.
That's another reason why I enjoyed season 9 and this past season of you know, Big Brother US, is because there was more diversity in the cast, which we need to see more of. So
yeah, I have to go with you, Olivia and John, the Brigade all the way. I thought they were awesome. And similar to the Cookout, they had a strategy where they all kind of took an ally each to just kind of expand their safety net, which is just like a good strategy in the game to have. But yeah, I thought they all had something to bring to the table. And what were their names? Like the meow meow, the brains, the beast, the animal, I think it was. But yeah, I just thought that they just had really good gameplay, and they took control of the house, and they were loyal to each other the most part until, I think, yeah, what you were saying, John, Lane went home. Was it Lane? Yeah. But yeah, so that was my favorite lines.
nice. All right, so we got into alliances. Now, who do you think is the greatest player of all time? This is a tough one, and I don't have an answer written down because I'm still undecided, but I want to hear your thoughts first before I chime in.
I think this is like literally the most basic answer, but I'll explain it. It's like I think the greatest player of all time is Dr. Will from 2 and 7. But for different reasons, I think he's the greatest player ever for gameplay and humor combined. Like he's one of the most entertaining people we've ever seen on a Big Brother season of all time. And he made amazing television. And usually those types of people don't even make it relatively close to the end. Like the great TV people will throw themselves in a hole, but he was still so good socially and so good planning strategies and maneuvering through the game when he needed to and just straight up lying. And people but because of his charisma and his humor and being like that fun guy that everybody wanted to be around, he got away with like so much. And one of his favorite, one of the big moments for Dr. Will's gameplay was the veto speech in season 7, where he told everybody that he hated them and to vote him out. Fun fact, he actually gave 2 speeches. One was for television, and then one was his real speech. So I feel like he did a lot of that when he played Big Brother, is he would do things for TV, but then he would actually play a better game outside of his antics for television, and we never got to see it. But clearly it was very impressive and it worked and it drew people in and it was just phenomenal. And I don't think we'll ever be able to see somebody like replicate anything like that ever.
No, I think what John just said with Dr. Will is great. I was going to kind of mention one on each side. I know we were supposed to pick one, but I think Dr. Will, for all the things John said on the US side, but on the Canada side, you probably think I'm going to go Dane, which is a great option. I think he won pretty much all competitions that were thrown his way, let alone that with the Pretty Boys, let alone his social work. I think was great. Plus, I don't know if it's the Canadian hockey player kind of vibe that, I'm always a fan of, but I like John Party as well. I think when John won, obviously the whole thing with Netta and everything like that, and she was also a great player, but I think John, just the way he worked things, that was one of, obviously I think season 2, right, of Canada, so that was when Canada was just up and going, and that really, I think that season for me more than season 1 drew me in, just the way John played and everything that happened in season 2. So again, maybe it's that Dane John kind of, they have like the same funny, Canadian hockey player personality, but I guess that's kind of who I think would be the best players on the Canadian side. I know I mentioned 3 names there.
It's hard. It's hard. It's okay.
One, so
yeah, it's hard. But that's where we got the "Wake up, Canada." That was John Party's
exactly.
famous saying there. So good choices. I like those choices. All right, how about you, Ashley?
I mentioned it before, but Dan, he's my favorite player. I just feel like from his funeral to just appearing twice, and he won the first time, came runner up the second time, and I don't know, he just has great gameplay, great social game, and he's also known to be like the nicest winner in Big Brother history, which is crazy because a lot of the time like the jury is bitter because they're manipulation or whatever. So I just thought he's just a legend in Big Brother, and yeah, I don't know, I think he just has great social game, really good at competitions, and he can kind of work his way around like not making people mad at him. So I think he's my favorite.
And so for the US, I have Dan as well. Just as you guys spoke about the funeral, just strategy, amazing. I don't think there will be many people or anyone else who can kind of top that going forward. And I just think he stands out just even years later as being an incredible house guest and overall just player all around. And then Canada, one of my top 2 would be Dane as well, as Mike mentioned. And then so the second choice is actually Netta from season 2, as you said, not her, but John. So yeah, I think she was just so strong mentally and physically and all around. And it's nice seeing a strong female player like that. So she's definitely up in my top few memorable players that I really did enjoy watching.
Okay, yeah, I think we all have pretty much the same answers here, which is good. Mine, I would have to say Dan. I really do like Dan, for all the reasons that Ashley and Laura that you mentioned. Dr. Will is also up there as well. Kind of see him as like the OG. Even though he was season 2, but I still think he's amazing. And then again, yeah, it's hard to pick, but on Canada's side, I really do like Kevin. I think he was great. And Aika. I think Aika is probably my favorite female house guest of all time. I love her. I think she's amazing. I think she's hilarious. I think she has, you know, I don't know if she's ever won a competition, but she's just absolutely hilarious to watch, and always, causes drama or stirs up drama, which is great to watch in the Big Brother house. So I'd have to go with those people. Okay, just a few more here, and then we'll get into kind of picking our all-star cast for season 10 of Big Brother Canada. But I know, Ashley, for you it'll be the US, but just a couple more here. Who do you think is the greatest player to never win?
So, I mean, I feel like he's probably going to come up a lot in this discussion, but I think Paul is the greatest player to never win. I actually am not as upset of him not winning his second time around, which is interesting because I feel like a lot of people think that's the one he was more deserving to win. Just because he was too tight with too many people. And when you have to stab that many people in the back and shatter that many relationships, I think it does really hurt your chances of winning and getting their votes in the end. So I'm actually not as surprised about that one. But his first go around, I think he definitely deserved to win. I think he maneuvered the game a lot better and was in a much worse position than Nicole. So I was actually quite upset that he didn't get that W over Miss Franzel, but she wasn't like a non-deserving winner, so I wasn't super upset about it, but I definitely think he's a phenomenal player.
Yeah, definitely have to agree with you there. It was the first time in a long time that I saw like Dr. Will and Dan in Paul. Like, it was the first time in a long time that I had seen a player of that caliber to play Big Brother, and I was really upset both times when he lost. I think I agree kind of like with what you're saying for the second time round, but like just the emotion he had when he was sitting in that chair and he was like, not again. Like,
oh my God. Yeah, that was
when
brutal.
Like,
when the votes started going for
like,
Josh. Yeah. And he was like, no. Oh man. Yeah, that did hit pretty hard.
Like, had it been Christmas and Paul, maybe I would have been a little happier if they had given it to Christmas. But I think because Josh, I felt, didn't do anything in that season aside from what Ashley said, was just kind of annoy people. I didn't like his gameplay, and he unfortunately was victim to a bitter jury for sure. That's what got him in the end.
I'm gonna change gears a bit, and I'm gonna go Tyler. I think he got robbed when Casey, I think, won that season. I just thought Tyler should have won that. We talked about bitter jury and stuff like that, which is up for debate, but when I was watching that, I was like, oh, Tyler should definitely win this season. That's one that stood out for me, and thought he was great player A, but B, the jury factors in, and that's fine. Casey obviously was a great player too, but that's one where I was just like, oh no, Tyler should have won that season. But
yeah, I had both because I couldn't decide. I have both Tyler and Paul for mine, and yeah, with Paul, everything you guys said, like, I'd say the same thing. Like, yeah, he didn't win because of a bitter jury, which that's like the least favorite thing of mine. Like, I hate that. I just think it should be someone who deserves it and not just like having people bitter about his gameplay. But yeah, like, he won so many competitions. He's overall a really strong player with really great social game. So yeah, he should have won. He came second in back-to-back seasons. So poor Paul. Also Tyler. Yeah, he should have won it. Like, for me, like, he was friendly with everyone. He had a lot of friends in the game. Like, he was strategically playing both sides. And he did well for the first time around, I guess, like season 20. Because he came out early in season 22, I believe he was on. But yeah, he was just so good in competitions, and overall really, really good gameplay. He always made really great moves, and yeah, he should have won.
I'm gonna say those were my top two US. I think we're all on the same page here. I know another kind of one when I was trying to go through my list was Brittany Haynes. I thought she played really well, and she came back as a coach, and she had a lot of what I think it takes to win. Just, got betrayed by the brigade, was it, in season 12? Or I'm like, whatever season, but I don't know. I liked her. I did. She didn't last as long as she would as a coach, I thought, but hey.
Yeah, definitely an underrated player for sure. I think another one that gets overlooked but is a legend in the game is Janelle. She's amazing. Like she came in third, I think, twice. I think in season 6 and then in season 7 she came in third. I think, again, similar to like all the other qualities of people who have been great at the game and haven't won, is that she was very unlikable. Like a lot of people didn't like her, but her ability to win competitions is what saved her a lot of the time. And she was able to bring herself to the end, which I liked. She had alliances and things like that, but she really like relied on herself, which I liked. And she was a very strong female player. I think one of the strongest and best female players to play Big Brother as well. So I'd have to say Janelle. But okay, last one here, and then we'll go into our all-star picks. See, I mess up a lot. So we have our favorite showmance, because as much as I don't like showmances, they are a part of this show. And we've had some good ones over the years. So what is who is your favorite showmance? I feel like we're gonna have the same answer. Most of us are gonna have the same answer, but
first, this one's easy for me. Jeff and Jordan, they were my favorite of all time. Like 100%. They met really in the game, and they're still together. They have kids, and I don't know how much I can explain why I like them, but they were just my favorite.
I second that. That was going to be mine, so I'll just follow what Ashley said. I think they're definitely, I think, everyone's America's favorite showmance, if you could word it that way.
Thank you. Same thing here. It's the fact, like, you're still going strong after that, and you have kids and everything. It's hard to beat that for favorite showmance.
I actually really like Kevin and Pilar from BB Can season 3, and they're actually married and stuff now too. So I thought it was
they?
like, yeah. So I thought that was
I didn't know that.
Yeah, they got married. So I think it's like really cute and adorable, and just like a lot of really good sequences and dramatic moments on that season for them. So that was my favorite.
Yeah. Oh, I had no idea that they actually got married. I thought they just were like really good friends outside the house, but that's so.
They
that's
they
really
ended
cute.
up getting back together like a few years ago, because I watch Kevin on his Twitch channel for poker and stuff. Yeah, so they split for a bit, but then they got back together, and now they're married and stuff and living together.
Makes sense. All right, so we have a successful one on the Canadian side, because I don't think there are as many aside from them, and then there's Ika and
Dimitri.
And Dimitri. I was like,
Dimitri,
Dominic?
yeah.
Dimitri. It's Dimitri.
Or Dimitri.
I'm so sorry for all of you fans of Ika and Dimitri. That's my bad. But
yeah.
Yeah, I actually watched their YouTube videos and things like that. I know that they're
I've seen a couple of those too. It's pretty cool.
They're hilarious. They're a funny couple as well. But good picks. I have to say Jeff and Jordan would be my favorite. I think they're the most lovable. Brennan and Rachel are hilarious. I think they're the most funny of the couples. I think they're still together. They have a couple of kids as well. The one I'm thinking of is Dominic and Evil Dick's daughter.
Oh yeah,
Danielle.
Danny
That's
Donato.
it. They were together, which I was really surprised. I didn't know that was like a thing, and then it came out like, when she came back, that they were married and have kid together. But I think they're cute too. So there's some good ones that came out of it, and then there were also a lot of annoying ones. A lot of annoying showmances too. Also, but we won't get into that here.
The recent one, Tyler and Angela. Like yeah.
That's right. That's also a good one. I was kind of like annoyed of them, to be honest, like throughout the season, saying like, oh, I think I'm falling in love with you. I was like, hey, that's cheese. But it's fine. It's television. You need some of that in there, I guess. But those are all good picks. All right. So now we're gonna get into our all-star cast. Specifically for Big Brother Canada, because I don't know if it's been mentioned yet if season 10 is going to be an all-star season for Canada. I feel like it should be, because we have quite a few seasons under our belt that I think it's a good time to do that. So I guess we'll see what happens on March 2nd. But I'll start with Mike. What are your, or who are your 14 picks for Big Brother Canada season 10 All-Star season?
Yeah, that would be great if it's an all-star season, not gonna lie. Sometimes they disappoint, but I think this would be epic. All right, here we go. This was tough, by the way. I got Anthony, Chelsea, Dane, my boy Emmett, love Emmett, Erica, Gary, how could you not love Gary? Ika, Jillian, John, Kayla, obviously Kevin, Mitchell, Netta, and Tim. Those are my 14. Tough.
Tim from Australia, Tim?
Australia, Tim. I love Australia. Tim.
All right, bringing him back.
It's the accent. Yeah, he's got to come back. He's got to come back
Nice.
all the way from Australia. I don't know if that's a thing or if that can happen, but yeah.
I actually
Those are
really
good
like the Tim
choices.
pick. I thought about him for mine too. What was it? The gummy koalas
Yeah.
HOH week. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
friggin' legendary.
All right. Laura, let's go to you. Who are your picks?
So I have Dane, Anthony, Kevin, Netta, Emmett, John, Ika, Paris, Jillian, Dimitri, Kayla. I have Godfrey because I personally loved him. And Sarah. I think I lost count of how many I had. That's either 13 or 14. I was going through my list and I'm like, those are my top however many. I would cap it at that.
Okay. Good picks. I like it. Okay, we'll go John.
I'll start with the ladies I have. So I have Jillian McLaughlin from season 1, Netta season 2, Neha from season 3, which might be interesting for everybody, but I think Neha was a really savvy, interesting player, but just got absolutely railed by like a series of very unfortunate events, like Kevin overhearing the bathroom conversation and then having the instant eviction, like with no time to kind of like recoup from that. But everybody from that season sings her praises as like an extremely good player. So I think just narrowly makes the list. Dre season 5, Erica from season 6, Ika from 2 and 5, and Victoria from 9, mainly on the back of her personality and humor. I think it would be great to have in there. Moving over to the boys, Peter Brown season 1, Kiefer season 9, who I thought actually played a really good game, very savvy. Would love to see him back. Godfrey season 3, Kevin season 5, my boy. Mitch Moffat season 4, I think also got absolutely railed by a twist with Kelsey coming back and her and I forget the person's name was. She was in quarantine or like in the sequester with, where they got to compare notes and realized what Mitch was doing. I think that was very unfortunate, but he was very good. Dimitri's season 5 and Adam Pike season 7.
Good. I like all those picks. I'm gonna go next, and then I'm gonna throw it to Ashley last because she hasn't seen Big Brother Canada, but she's gonna do a Big Brother US All-Star season. So my picks for Canada, I'll start with the girls. So I have Ika, season 2 and season 5, of course. It's my girl. I love her. I picked Cindy with an S. From season 3 and season 5, I believe. I love her personality. I feel like she's also hilarious too. So I picked her. Netta from season 2 and season 5. She was also someone I thought that kind of maybe have been snubbed from a win because she was great at the game. Cassandra from season 4 because she's just so funny and I loved her personality as well. I picked Olivia from season 6, not because, we have the same name or anything, but just because, again, I thought like she was an underrated player as well, and also just hilarious to watch. Victoria, season 9, I thought she was one of the better players in that season and deserved to make it further than she did. And then I picked Min Lee from season 8 because of all of the house guests in that house. She was like the most disliked and everyone wanted her out, but she was the one who played the game the hardest, I think. And I think she deserves another chance. So I'm going with her. And then for the boys, I picked Gary, season 1 and season 5, I think. He came back and was like one of the first ones out, which I forgot. But fun story, when I was in university, I'm pretty sure I saw Gary in my school, like walking up this like staircase, and I was standing with my friend and I looked up and I was like, we made eye contact and I was like, oh my God, it's Gary. And I think he saw me mouth like the words and he smiled at me and I almost died. Okay, so I'm going with Gary.
Wasn't Gary.
It has to be Gary. And then I also picked Emmett from season 1. I'd like to have him come back. I think he was great. Kevin, of course, he's a popular one. I picked Rohan from season 9 as well. I think he was also a really good player last season and could have made it a lot further had he not made some of the decisions he made. Kiefer as well, I think would be good to bring back. As you can see, I really liked season 9's casting, so they're in here quite a bit. I also put Sheldon from season 8. Again, he was another player who wanted to be there and wanted to play the game, and because of just the circumstances, I think deserves redemption and deserves to come back into the house. So I'd like to see him come back. Dane, of course, because he's great. And then I picked Damien, which I don't know if you guys remember him. He's from season 7, but I picked Damien as well. So yeah. So I'll turn it over to Ashley for your US picks.
All right. I didn't really write which seasons everyone was on, so I just kind of have my list. And also some of them have already been all-stars, but I think they deserve to go again. So my list is Dan, of course, Janelle, Tyler, Ian, Danielle, Xavier from last season, Derek, I think he was last season as well, Derek X, Jordan Lloyd, again, just because she's so friendly and nice and she did really well on her season. I think she's fun to watch with her accent and everything. I love her. Paul, Brittany, and Enzo.
All good picks. It'd be interesting to see if like this actually comes to fruition. Like imagine if like we have all these picks, like even for you actually, if they come up with another all-star season and that's who's in there, like I feel like it's like we're, predicting the future or whatnot. But excited to see what comes up here with the new season in March. And I think that's it for today's episode. You guys have anything else you want to mention? Maybe just like a favorite moment in Big Brother that kind of stands out to you?
We could quickly do favorite competition.
Ooh, favorite competition. Okay. What's yours?
Oh,
you brought it up, so I'm going to you first.
Well, I love the staple that they always have, the OTEV one. I think that's just a good one. Also, the veto, when they do like the hide and go veto when the house gets absolutely trashed.
Oh.
I think that's a funny one to watch. Well, now I'm on the spot. I can't think of a.
The clean freak in me does not like that.
Oh, I hate
one game because I'm just like I would get so much anxiety having to go in that house afterwards.
Or even the wall one where the wall tips down and they're like
tips down.
I think that's a good one, and
that's a good one. Yep. How about you, Mike?
Zingbot, you gotta love Zing. It's not a competition really. Well, I guess he runs some competitions, but Zingbot.
Are you a fan of Zingbot? Do you guys like Zingbot?
What, you don't like Zingbot?
I'm not a fan of that one. I don't like it.
What about his disses that he does every season?
I don't like them. I don't think they're funny.
What?
There are some seasons where he absolutely shreds people.
Yeah,
and
I like
it's the best.
Just so unhinged some seasons.
Maybe it's just the voice. I don't know. I find the voice to be kind of irritating, but still, good choice, Zingbot. He's a popular character. I think they should really bring back Marsha the Moose. I mentioned this before in previous call. I feel like Marsha the Moose is the Zingbot, of like Canada. So I want her to come back. But all right, how about you, John?
I think I don't really have a specific competition I can think of, but any Final Four veto competition in Big Brother Canada, they go like all out for that veto because it basically decides the sole vote for who's going to go home that week, and makes it into the final three automatically. So like the competition's always like huge, overblown, theatric, like, and it's also really hard. It's like an entire like history of what's happened, usually some sort of like memory comp of like everything. So I think it's a really good one.
Laura, do you have one?
No, I don't have. That's why now that it's kind of on the spot, like at a specific competition doesn't really come to mind. Like the first one is really the wall tilts, just because it's kind of a classic. I do like those ones. I just find not necessarily entertaining, but just seeing how people do when they have like when did this happen in the season? That sort of you have to recall, and it's like what minute or what, like those crazy ones that you would never really think
Kind of
of.
like the memory
Yeah,
games.
some of those memory ones are interesting, or I just like seeing who's good with that. But yeah, the wall one as well is one that stands out as coming back every year. That's always kind of funny to watch, but yeah.
Yeah, good ones. Yeah, I think my favorites are the one where they have like where you have to walk with like a little cup and like fill up the bowl, and it's like slippery. The amount of falls that happen, it's so entertaining. I cry from laughing because of people falling. It's so funny. Like even just thinking about it, I'm laughing. And then the one with the egg where they have to like pull it through the fence. I feel like that one is so hard. And I have big hands, so like I don't know if I'd be able to do that very well, but I like that one too. And OTEV is a classic. You always look forward to the OTEV ones. I always remember Jeff when he's like, I got it for reals. And he like runs up do you remember that one? Anyways, clearly I'm like a little obsessed with Big Brother, as you can tell. But anyways, that's kind of the end here, guys. Thanks so much for being on here and talking about Big Brother. Loved having you on. This was so much fun. We should do this more often, I think. But to everyone listening, Big Brother Canada starts on March 2nd. So if you are a fan, go and check it out. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Thanks to all of you guys for being on here, and we'll see you next time.